They claim that our eyes were just either slightly different from what they are. When we talk, we see things are not normal.
Welcome to Strange Familiars, Allison.
Yes.
I don't care. I'm kidding. I do care. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. This conversation was preceded by each of us telling the other that we were going to slap them. We were not really going to slap. We're not going to hurt each other, and that we need to get done.
It's, you know what? It's the time of year where the nearby practicing band has their metronome on all hours, and it's irritating.
It is, and we just sit and wait for them to stop, and they do not let these poor kids go home. It's like nearly 9 o'clock.
And it's piercing.
Yeah.
Like it's a piercing, like...
It cuts through everything else.
And how, like, after a while, just turn off the metronome. Practice without the metronome, because the other stuff doesn't bother me. It's just the metronome.
It's like listening to an alarm clock for 6 hours straight,
and it's on and off.
Yeah,
like it'll be on for 10 seconds and then off, and then on for a minute and then off, and then on for 3 minutes and then off, and then on for 20 seconds. It's like you only need the beginning of songs to be on time. Like, what is happening with this? Anyway,
apologies to those kids.
I'd like to thank Corey Wilson for the book he sent. Thank you so much. It's very nice. On tonight's show, Allison.
Yes.
Who did you interview? It's now your job since you did last week.
Okay.
So now you're going to be interviewing. So
I didn't interview.
You didn't interview, and so we've got no show. Sorry, folks. Allison couldn't be bothered to interview anybody, so we have no show tonight. Thanks for listening. We'll be back soon.
Oh, I guess I could interview you.
You could.
I feel like this is like the whole tone of this is very aggravating.
I know. I'm sorry, everybody. On tonight's show, I will be interviewing Jeremy.
Even though Jeremy secretly wrote me a note, said he preferred if I would do it.
I'm sure he did. I have no doubt about that. And he's got some Bigfoot stories and some like haunting and ghost stuff and other things. And he is from Indiana.
Oh, known spooky area.
One of my new favorite places. Just a note on this interview, our connection was not great on the phone line. And there are parts that aren't as clear as other, but I promise you it's worth getting through it. Like, he's got good stories. I'm sorry about the audio quality. I think it is
pristine, but it's hardly bad.
I think it's listenable, but it's when I'm trying to get ahead of all the comments of how bad
the quality,
the audio quality is. So I want to get ahead of that. So maybe kind of reduce those. I understand it's not pristine audio quality on the call, but it is worth listening. So with that said, let's go ahead and hear my interview with Jeremy. All right, I'm talking with Jeremy tonight. How you doing, Jeremy?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Well, thanks for coming on Strange Familiars. You contacted me. You said you're in Indiana there. It's one of my new favorite places since visiting. And you got some stories for us, so I'm excited to hear these.
Yeah, thank you for having me first. I love what you do. This is one of my favorite shows on here. I listen to you while I work during the day.
Oh, man, thank you.
So I actually did, a couple nights ago, I had to actually write this down because, I don't know, it seems like things happen in spurts in my life. Like, you know what I mean? Like I have early memories of things happening, and then nothing will happen. And then things will start happening again, and then nothing. And then things will happen again. I don't know what that is. You know, I've never told the whole thing to anybody. You know, just bits and pieces of it. I just really kind of want to get it off my chest and see what you think about it, you know?
Yeah, sure. Did all this stuff happen in Indiana?
Yes, every single bit of it has, yeah.
Can I ask you, and you can be general, you don't have to be real specific, but, you know, just about where this is in Indiana.
This is, well, I'll just say it's French Lick, Indiana.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, that's where I'm born and raised, and where I've grown up, and yeah. And now, a couple of them have happened, like, in Martin County, which is like Shoals, Indiana, which is just right up the road from us, about 10, 12 miles. But I'll, when we get to that point there, I'll say that's where that happened at.
Sure thing, yeah. So French Lick is home to one of my favorite Bigfoot sightings of all time. They called him Fluorescent Freddy. I believe it was from the 1950s. He's a green Bigfoot.
Really?
Yeah.
How do I not know that?
It's a pretty obscure case. It's a pretty obscure case. A lot of the Bigfoot guys don't like to talk about it because it was a green Bigfoot. That sounds kind of weird, but that's what the people were seeing. That's what they were reporting.
Wow. You're gonna have to fill me in on that.
Yeah, I can send you the details. I forget all off the top of my head. I forget all the details. I'm pretty sure it was French Lick, Indiana, where Fluorescent Freddy was from.
Okay.
That's what the kids called him. They said he was green. They called him Fluorescent Freddy.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's new to me. That's awesome. Okay, I guess. I mean, I have it kind of on a timeline here.
Sure. Yeah.
It is like I'm 5 to 9 years old, basically. I have a few memories. These are young memories. My first one, the first actual memory I have is, I don't know, when you were young, I don't know how far back you can remember, but do you remember, like, your parents carrying you from the car to your bed?
Oh, yeah.
Wake up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We lived in a trailer in French Lick, and, I mean, still small enough to be getting picked up and carried, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Without it, like, freaking me out,
Right.
So I was in bed one night, and we lived in a trailer. The steps to trailers, single wide trailers, I don't know. Sometimes they're dangerous. You know what I mean? They're real steep, and they'll be rickety and wooden and things. That's how both our entrances work. Okay, and that'll come into play in a second. I remember waking up one night, and I was being carried. You know what I mean? But I thought that, my parents were, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought my dad was carrying me, or, my mom was carrying me to do something. I don't know what, but I just kind of went back to sleep. And when I woke up, it was, I don't even know what time. It was early morning, it was still dark, but I was actually in the backyard, like with dew on me, in the grass in the backyard.
Oh, wow.
There's no good way in out of that trailer. And, I mean, I guess you could say, somebody picked me up and carried me outside and put me in the yard, but who would do that?
Right, yeah. Yeah, why?
Yeah, that's what I was saying, why? Why would they do that? And that's like my first actual memory of something really weird happening to me. And, I mean, I know I didn't sleepwalk because there's no way I would have got down the steps without, breaking something, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's my first memory right there. So, my second memory, it was around that same time period, and this would be in Martin County. This is, close to French Lick. I was at my grandparents' house, and I remember playing. And I always played in the garage. They had a farm. There was just a lot of land around on. Nobody was there except my grandfather. I didn't know it at the time, but he was inside. I didn't know that. So I'm in the garage. I'm like pilfering. I'm going through drawers, and you just seeing what they have. You know what I mean? Just being nosy as a kid does.
Yeah.
And they had a car in the garage, and there's a man door, and then the garage door is open, but the man door was closed. And so I'm on my knees going through a drawer. I'll never forget this because this was something different. And I heard the man door open, and I heard footsteps come to the car. I thought it was my grandfather. Because, he's the only one there. So, like, through horror stories, fast, and instead of standing up and looking, I looked underneath the car. And I saw a pair of boots, like somebody was standing there. So, of course, I thought it was my grandfather, and he was a tall man, and this car wasn't that tall. And when I stood up and looked, there was nobody there. So I thought, well, maybe they're, like, crouched down. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of high-stepped just a little bit because I had to actually go around the car and around them to get to the front door. And as I started to move that way, there was nobody there. I mean, there was nothing there. There was no boots, no nothing there. And I ran. I don't ever remember. I ran like something had a hold of me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like freaking out running. I thought they were going to get me. Whatever it was, I thought it was going to get me. Fear. And I actually ran to the front door and come in the front door, and my grandfather was there asleep. So it wasn't him, you know?
Right.
I don't know what that would be.
Yeah.
This is a different one. This is like a third memory. This is all in that same 5 to 9, you know, timeline there. I was at a property. My mom owns this property now. I didn't know it at the time. I'll give you some backstory on this. So we always played. My great-grandmother lived there. She owns this. This is our family homestead. It's in a place called Lacey, Indiana. Okay, it's out in the middle of it. I mean, you cross highways, you know what I mean, but it's nothing but, here's the National Forest. It's everything. I mean, you can go all the way to the Ohio River by just cross the little road, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or you can go all the way to Bloomington, Indiana, way up to Martinsville, just by crossing a few roads. It's hilly. You've been in southern Indiana, I'm sure, haven't you?
Yeah. Love it.
Okay. Well, where I'm at in the Hoosier National, it's kind of different than the rest. And, you know, everybody thinks Indiana is cornfields.
Right.
We've got cornfields, but we got some pretty big hills here, too,
Mm-hmm.
and hollows. Well, me and my little cousin, I call her little. She was my age. We were both little at that time. There's some caves you know, you got to go through the woods. You follow a creek up, and if you kind of veer to the right, there's caves. And, you know, I call it a cave. I mean, it's not like a big one, but, I mean, it's big enough, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And we had a dog with us, and I remember we were walking up the creek, and we were just playing, and all of a sudden the dog started acting real weird. And, I mean, the hair, I'll never forget the way I felt on this, too. It was kind of the same with, like, running from whatever that was in the garage. It was just, I mean, we both were just overcome with fear. The dog actually freaked out, tail between his legs, ran off. That kind of freaked us out. So we actually took off, and when we did, she, like, tripped and rolled her ankle. So I'm trying to help her, and we're trying to get out of there as fast as we can. And you can hear, like, we're in the bottom of the creek down here, and it kind of goes up and it hears, you know what I mean? So there's different levels, but it's all wood. You could hear something. It was out of sight. You could hear it actually running up on top as we were moving through the creek.
Wow.
I mean, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say that is, you know, a Sasquatch, and I'm definitely not going to say it's not. I mean, I guess it could have been a cat. But at the time, I didn't even think it was anything like that. You know, I didn't know what. I knew it scared the hell out of us.
Right.
So, you know, and then later on, my mom told me, she was like, oh, yeah, you know, our crazy cousin down there that lived in that same holler, he swears up and down he's seen a Sasquatch down there. And then my wheels started turning, and I remembered that incident.
Mm-hmm.
We never saw anything, but something paced us out of there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It made sure we got it, and it made sure we knew it was there without being seen. And I was like, wow. And then my grandmother actually told me later on that my great aunt, because that was my great-grandmother's property at that time, my great aunt saw a bear, is what she called it, a bear that walked on 2 legs. It was like actually picking apples out of a tree.
Yeah.
You see where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a bear to me.
Bear walk on 2 legs. You know, your mind goes to whatever it can rationalize.
Right.
I mean, and this woman is old, and she grew up down there. She's old school. She's not going to be like, that's Sasquatch. She's going to be like, that's a bear walking on 2 legs.
Right, yeah.
So it's all coming together for me. I'm like, what actually was down there? 2 years ago, me and my wife, we went to Shoals. I have a lot of friends and family down there, and I was helping one of my really good friends with his pool liner. He needed a new liner put in. So we were down there, and he had another guy that was there. Well, that guy actually bought the property that butts up to that property I'm talking about right there. My mother owns it now.
Mm-hmm.
And he was asking me, he was like, and this guy is no bull crap, you know what I mean? He's straight, he's good people. And he asked me, he was like, who owns that property down there now? And I was like, oh, my mom. And he's like, oh, well, you know, I bought the property, if you go straight up that valley there I was talking about, you'll run right into his property. And I said, oh, I was just messing around, because I told you on the thing, you know, I'm the Bigfoot guy, you know. My wife thinks it's cute, you know, like, you know what I mean? Oh, that's cute, you know. It's funny Bigfoot shirts and keychains, and which that's awesome, but I'm like, you don't even know. You have no clue what I'm, you know. But anyway, this man here, I said, oh, that's, you know, that's Bigfoot country there. And he kind of chuckled, but as he was chuckling, he kind of like stopped chuckling, and he was like, you know, he said, I let a bow hunter go back there one time. He said, and he came back, and he said it looked like a homeless person had been living out there. And I was like, really? I was like, tell me about that. And he said that it's not like a homeless person, like there was no trap, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There was no like wrappers or water bottles. There was no tarps. He said it was all like natural. It was, you know, like somebody made a teepee, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then like it looked like a bedding area, you know. And he said the dude never come back. It kind of freaked him out because he thought somebody was moving around out there, like a homeless person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's all in that same valley right there. I think if they would use it, I feel like they would use it and then they would move on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think they'd spend too much time there, but it's perfect. It's got water. It's got game. It's hidden in this valley, you know, where you know, nobody goes back there. There's nothing there. Mm-hmm. It's just deep woods and hollows, you know, and they got shelter there as well. You know what I mean? This right here, this timeline is like when I was like 11 to 13. I was like pre-pubescent, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In that stage right there. We moved into a house in French Lick, and anybody that's from French Lick is going to know exactly what I'm talking about. It's China Garden. It's the old Chinese restaurant now, but before that, they rented it. It was a house, and it's right across from the main gas station in French Lick. We had a lot of weird things going on this place, and my mom had weird things going on in this place, and at the time, she would say things, you know, like, you seen a silhouette in the doorway, you know, like when nobody was there, swearing it was an old man. But I asked her about it about a year ago, and she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, yeah, you do. You definitely know what I'm talking about. You're just not going to say it.
Right.
And I was always messing with my brother about it. You know, I called it, it's a weird, I was like, it's Pookie. Pookie's going to get you. That's what I always said. Pookie's in the closet. You know, he'd freak out because he knew what that was. There was something wrong with this place. Like I said, we'd see, you know, silhouettes, things would move, you know what I mean? Just small, it'd catch your attention, you know what I mean? Be like, hang on. But then you could play it off to like, maybe I did that. Maybe, you know what I mean? Just small things like that.
Yeah.
And later on in years, my brother actually told me he's seen a hat man. He woke up one night and actually seen a silhouette, and he said he was wearing a hat, like a brimmed hat. And I was like, wow. I seen silhouettes there. My mom seen silhouettes there. But the creepiest thing is actually one night I was sleeping on the couch in the living room, and we had an old rocking chair in the corner. And I woke up, I don't even know what time it was early morning. And when I actually woke up, I was facing the rocking chair, and I heard the rocking chair. I mean, it was rocking so fast. You know what I mean? Just like, just as fast. I couldn't do it that fast.
Wow.
I opened my eyes. I didn't see anything, but the chair was moving so fast. You know what I mean? I just actually rolled over and just went back to sleep. I was like, I don't know what I did there. I was so afraid that I just rolled over and went to sleep. I mean, I've heard other people say that.
Yeah, I was like, it comes up so much on the show. I don't know what that is. Like, that shouldn't be. Like, people see something like that, you should not roll over and go back to sleep. You know what I mean? But I hear it again and again. I did it myself.
I heard you say that on one time.
Yeah.
Actually, I remember doing that, and I'd never told anybody that. And I swear I was listening to you on a podcast talking somebody else about that, and I was like, oh my God, that hit home so hard with me, man. I was like, I don't know what that is, but it scared me so bad, I just
Mm-hmm.
and that's a weird thing right there.
Yeah, that's a really weird aspect to all this. That's very, I don't know. It's strange. It makes me wonder. It really does.
More common than, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's very common. I mean, I've read stories where people like turn over and Bigfoot's looking in the window, looking right at them, like right at their bed, and they just I just went. I don't know why. I just turned over and went to sleep. Like what the heck? Like that? No, that should not happen.
Is it our brain just thinking if we just ignore it, it'll go away? I mean,
possibly. Yeah, possibly.
I don't. But that hit home with me. I'd heard you mention that before, and that actually happened to me. And I was like, oh my God, okay, this has happened to other people. I'm not alone on that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of times, you know, before the internet, you know, there was no way to communicate these things. And I'm always asking people, hey, you ever had anything weird happen to you? You know, and they're like, well, what do you mean weird? I'm just like, weird. It's something you can't explain, you know? And most people say no. And I'm like, how? How do so many people not have something weird happen to them their whole life, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand that. I really, really don't.
Well, I truly think that you just got to get them talking long enough, because a lot of people, I don't know what it is. They don't want to say they saw something weird. You know, they don't want to be the weirdo who saw something, right? But then if you get them talking, I swear, like, not everybody, but a lot of people will say, well, there was that one time. And they'll tell you about a ghost story, or you've seen a UFO or something, you know. But but then they'll play it down. They'll say, but that wasn't anything. It's like, well, no, that was something. Like that counts.
That always blows me away, though, you know. And then here I am. I'm just like, oh man, this happened one time, you know. And then I'll stop because I'm like, I know they're thinking this dude's ignorant. You know what I mean? He's out there. He's way too much, buddy. You know what I mean? I guarantee you. You drunk? What the? But I don't know. I just tell it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I have told people, you know, something will trigger something in my brain. But, oh, man, this one time, you know, this happened. I don't know. Okay, we'll go back to that. I'm sorry. I keep getting off track there.
Oh, no worries.
Still in that 11 to 13 net prepubescent, we'd run town. Like, a bunch of us would run town. And there was an old hotel there. It's called the Homestead. It's an apartment building now. But back in it's by our ballpark. And it's across from the West Baden Springs Dome, the hotel, which, look that up. That's storied. That's an amazing place. But it's old. Well, this building is too. And French Lick is one of the original spots where gambling was legal. Like, it's a dirty old little town. You know, there's 17 casinos in this place, you know, and Al Capone got married there. And we just had a lot of stuff going on. But this old hotel there, we would, you know, sneak in it. You know, it was old and run down and just falling apart. You know how kids are. You know what I mean? We didn't break windows or anything like that, but we would get in. You know, we would get in, go up the steps and walk through the door. It was open, you know, and we'd run through this hotel. At one time, I remember we went into the basement and there was a room and there was a light on. And I'm talking like there was no electricity in this place. And even if there was, there couldn't be a light bulb on. These light bulbs are, who knows how old. You know what I mean? They've been in there for how long.
Mm-hmm.
And this light was on, and it freaked us out. You know, we like took off and ran. You know, and when we went back, I don't remember if there was a bulb in it or not, but it wasn't on. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was a high ceiling too, real high ceiling, and we always heard really strange noises in there. You know, I guess you could play it off as the wind, or maybe somebody else was in there, but you would hear doors slam. You know what I mean? Weird stuff. And it always gave you a creepy vibe there as well. One of my friends ended up living there later on, and of course, me being me, I was just like, oh, this place is haunted. He was like, yeah. He's like, we're moving because of it.
Oh,
you know?
really? Wow.
Yeah. Like, I mean, and every time I go by there, I'm with them. I'm like, that place is haunted. You know? They're in the China Garden. That place is haunted, too.
Huh.
I'm telling you right now. You know, but they don't believe it. And, you know, it's all good. It is. I'm going to jump ahead now. I really didn't have anything happen. You know, my life, I got busy. You know, I started getting into sports and, you know, just friends and, you know, and then college. And then I ended up getting married, things like that. And then I got divorced when I was 28. I have 2 children, and they're little at this time. And I rented this house in Prince Lake. It's up on the hill. It's an old house. My brother and my sister-in-law owned it, and they moved into their new house. And so they were like, hey, you want to rent the house? I was like, sure, you know. And they'd never said anything to me about this place. They, you know, I was like, yeah, that's perfect. You know what I mean? Yeah. Got 2 bedrooms, you know. I got one for my kids, one for me, you know. I moved in, and the first night I moved in, I remember I you know, of course, carried everything in, and I was wore out. You know, I'd work and then moved in that night. It was still daylight. It was summertime. So, you know, I laid down on the couch, and I was like, I took a nap. That's what I did. And when I woke up, every light in the house was, I'm talking closet lights, everything. Everything was in the house. And I was, right then, I should have known. I should have been like, oh, okay, here we go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't. I played it off, you know. I was like, okay, maybe I left these lights on, even though I remembered shutting that light off. Maybe I did, or maybe somebody come in, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know, probably a month later, I was in bed. I had to work early the next morning, and I started hearing cabinets being slammed. I'm talking like, it sounded like somebody was just rummaging through the place. It, like, trying to annoy me is what it sounded like. That's what it actually, I thought it was my brother. I thought my brother had maybe had a little bit too much drink, come in the house, and was just being loud, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it actually woke me up, it was so loud. So there I am cussing my brother. You know, I'm literally cursing my brother, telling him to shut up. I had to work in the morning, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I get up. I am so mad I get up to go in there to confront him about this. And the doors are locked. You know, there's nobody there. My brother wasn't even in town, you know? And I was like, hold up, what, you know, hang on, what just happened, you know? So I went through the whole house, made sure nobody was there. Nobody was there. Like I said, the doors were locked. I was the only one with the key. So, you know, that was weird. That became like an occurrence. Like, that happened a lot.
Oh, wow.
And I got to the point where I would, you know, after that right there, my kids would come over on weekends. So I got to the point with that, you know, because I don't know, if I'm in the woods and I think something's going on, you know what I mean, I will talk to the woods. I will. I don't know if that's weird or not, whatever. I don't care. I do it.
I'm at the same point. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do the same thing. Yeah.
If I think somebody is listening or something is listening, I'll speak to it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did with this. I just told it, you know, you can do whatever you want with me. You know, you can annoy me. You can do whatever. I was like, but my kids, you know, I said, if they even get a hint of you, I will burn this place to the ground. You know what I mean? And I would have at that time. I swear I would have. And, I mean, what would a ghost be with no place to haunt? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've asked my kids later on, I was like, hey, you ever had anything weird happen in the house? No, never did. And then all the stuff that I went through in that place, like my closet door in my bedroom, my closet door, I would shut that thing, and next morning it'd be open. I was like, okay, well, I'll stick something in front of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The next morning, again, I don't care what I put in front of it. Bungeed it. Open again the next morning. That door would be open every single morning when I got up. I don't know what that was, or if that's what it was based. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. But I had some people come down one time. They thought something was, you know, people were in the house breaking in, and I told them it was a ghost. And they slept in my room with me that night, and they didn't come back. You know, they knew. You know what I mean? Because we went through the house. You know what I mean? I was like, there ain't nobody here. I'm telling you, it's the ghost.
Wow. How long did you live at that place?
I lived there for about a year and a half, and I ended up moving somewhere else. I mean, and not because of that, because it didn't seem like it was malevolent, really.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But still, you just don't know what you're getting. You don't know what it really is.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
You know, it's different. I know that. And if it can like move things, it could probably touch me too. You know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. When I came back from college, and this was the point where I was having all that, I don't know what they were, those quote unquote abduction experiences and stuff. All my siblings, I'm the youngest of 6, and they'd all moved out, so I'm the only one. So my parents gave me the biggest room in the house. Now, they didn't use it as the master bedroom because it was shaped weird. It had this weird shape to the room. It's just an old farmhouse. And it had like a spiral staircase that went up from the kitchen to this room, and then another one that went up to the attic from that room. And there was a door. And I woke up one night, and that attic door was open. And I think I shut it one night, and then it happened one more time. And I taped it shut with like duct tape. And my dad came up. He's like, what do you have that all taped up for? And I just told him, oh, there was like wasps in the attic that were getting down. You know what I mean? I didn't want to tell him like that thing was opening up on me. And I was freaked out. Once it happened the second time, that was enough for me. I taped it shut. I'm like, nope, I'm not dealing with this.
That does something to you, man. I mean, when you really know, there's nothing like that. You know what I mean? There's nothing like that. Like, people go their whole lives and nothing happens. But like, you know something is opening that door. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You. It's like, I'm going to try and combat it the best way I can, It just, there's nothing like that. It's freaky,
Oh,
it
yeah.
really, really is. I'll get into kind of now. I sent you that picture. I don't know what that was.
Mm-hmm.
That's what was going through the woods, though, at my grandmother's house. That's right by Patoga Lake. That's by Painter Creek Boat Ramp right there. That's Hoosier National. That's a big lake. That's an 8,000-acre lake. It's got a lot of area to it right there. And if I'm not mistaken, I think they've had a few reportings from there, I walked outside to smoke a cigarette, had my phone in my hand. I was messing around, and I heard something moving, and I just took a picture.
Huh.
You know what I mean? And that's what I got right there. And then, actually, where I live right now, I live in a place called Nicholson Valley. It's between Frenchwick and Jasper, but it's actually in DuBois County. I'm giving way too much information, but it's all good. You know what I mean?
You want me to cut it out? I can cut it out if you want.
I don't care. It don't matter.
Okay.
I don't really care.
All right.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? I don't, yeah, it's all good. Where I live now, I'm surrounded by woods here, too. I'm on the opposite side of that same lake I was talking about.
Okay.
It's in 3 different counties, that lake is. That's how big it is. Where I'm at now, okay. I ginseng hunt. I mushroom hunt. You know what I mean? I fish like crazy. I'm always in the woods. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I hear wood knocks. And what makes that sound? It's not a woodpecker. I'm talking, like, I'll walk out of the woods. I sit here one night. This has happened multiple times. I've heard it multiple times. But here one night, I was coming down the hill, and as soon as my foot touched the road, I heard one wood knock. Just, wow, on top of it, where I just was. I was really close to that area right there. And I was just like, yeah, I'm out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaving. You guys can have it back. You know what I mean?
Right.
And, it's hard for me to believe that there's a human up there. You know what I mean? That would just make a wood knock.
Yeah.
And it's not a woodpecker. It's not just going to do one.
Right.
I actually walked outside here and heard him on top of the hill and just laughed. I'm just like, I know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, there you are. I was actually, a couple of years ago, I walked across our highway here and was on top of this great big ridge on the other side of this valley. And I was up there and I was ginseng hunting. And then that's what I do. That's what I'm focused on, is ginseng hunting. And I kept hearing something walking above me. You know what I mean? I couldn't tell if it was 2 or 4 legs first. I was like, what do you hear? Something. But as I moved along that hillside, it moved along the hillside. As I come back, so I kind of went up towards it. I was like, I'm going to see what this is. You know what I mean? I don't know what this is. I'm going to see what it is. It could be a cat. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I get up there, and there's an old cemetery just in the middle of the woods. Like, you're walking, and then all of a sudden you're just in the middle of the cemetery.
Huh.
It's like, yeah. where this is freaky, you know what I mean? It's like, whoa, it's got weird vibes to it. So I don't know if that's a pacing story. It could be a lot of things that could be. But it kind of led me to that cemetery. Well, I come back over the hill, and my aunt and uncle own a store right here in this same little valley. And I guess she was like the caretaker of that cemetery.
Okay.
And she told me a few years ago that there was like a bunch of holes dug up there in the graveyard. She said it was really, really weird, like the size of like a baby. But just great big holes dug all over that cemetery up there in the middle of the woods. What is that?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, would a human do that? Why? If they would, why? I mean, I know humans do a lot of weird things, and I guess, you know, it could be. You know, this all could be just whatever. You know, I don't know what it is. That's why I'm, you know, it's just weird to me. But I don't understand that right there. Like what would actually dig baby-sized holes, you know, all over a cemetery?
Yeah, that's odd, because if it was something like, you know, if it's a critter making a den, you know, why they'll make one, you know what I mean? They'll have an in and an out usually, but a bunch of them, and I assume they were just kind of like pits, not like they didn't go anywhere, right?
No, they didn't go anywhere. They were just holes.
Yeah.
Just like you could throw a baby in, like she said, you know. You bury a baby, basically, about that size. But they were all over the middle of that cemetery.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, and that's the same one that I walked in right there. And I was like, that place is creepy. So I stopped going up there. I was like, I'm done with that place. It just creeps me out. I mean, it gives me the heebie-jeebies, so I just stay out of there. I don't even go to that side of the road anymore. Then we had a tornado go through there last year and just ripped everything out of there. The same place. I mean, just tore it up over there. I have a pond in front of my house right here. And you seen the foot that I sent you?
Yeah.
Could you actually see the footprint?
Yeah. I'm looking at it right now. Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like it has 3 toes to me.
Yeah.
You see the instincts of the toes there? And I mean, that was, okay, this pond has like this little cove in it. And, you know, the water rises and falls in this pond really quick. You know what I mean? Well, the water had been up for a while. And I fish at this pond every single day. And I walk all the way around it. And, you know, I fly fish. So I tie my lures and I go down the pond and try them. You know what I mean? I love doing that. So I'm down there fishing, and I was up in that cove, and the water had come down, and that's what was left. It was like when it stepped in the water, it didn't cover it up, you know? It didn't, like, you probably even think to cover it up, you know what I mean? But that's the only one I found, was just that one footprint right there. But it was where high water was, you know? And then when the water went down, that's what was there. See, I've heard of the 3-toe stuff, and, you know, I mean, you hear all kinds of things, you know what I mean? But to actually, like, there it is, I mean, I was just blown away. I was like, I mean, you can see the indentings of the toes if you zoom in.
Yeah, I know, I'm looking at it right now, yeah.
Dang, I've never seen anything like that in my life. I've seen things like, oh, man, that's weird, you know what I mean? I've seen some strange things being in the woods that much, you know?
Yeah.
But like that right there was, and then, like I said, that's the same place, like same hillside right there that I'm hearing wood knocks. And it's the same area that the holes are dug. I've been paced up on the hill. It's just, yeah, that's different.
Now, could you see any more footprints, or just kind of the one?
It's just that one. That's all I saw. And like I said, and it was smack dab in the middle. Like, it was just out into, like, the cove just a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all, the only one there was. There wasn't nothing ruffled around. You know what I mean? It looked like something stepped there. Because where that is, you could actually be hidden from the road and everything else, because trees would cover you there. It kind of goes back up in the woods. And, like, that creek runs down off the hill into the pond right there. So it's all covered. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just see up in that cove. You have to, like, really, really get into a position to see up in that cove. And then it's still hard because it's dark, you know, from the woods. So it could have stood there and big water, got water, big, I mean, whatever, you know what I mean? You would never see it, never know it was there, unless the water goes down and they left a footprint. And I just got lucky that day. Like I said, I bass fish at that pond all the time with my fly pole, and I was down there, struck it along them banks. I just followed the banks. It's kind of hard to get to over there, kind of snaky. But I did it that day, and I pulled my phone out, and I was like, yeah, ain't nobody gonna believe this. I've said that to other people, and they just kind of blow it off. Like, oh yeah. I'm like, you don't even see what I'm seeing there. You can actually see the toe, and you can see where the mud come up between its toes, man.
Yep.
I don't know. How do you explain that? What does that?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty clear. In the photo, it looks like a footprint, and it looks like a three-toed footprint. That's what it looks like.
That's exactly what I saw.
Yeah. That photo you took of whatever was moving through the woods, the one you sent me, could you tell how big that thing was?
No, I can hardly see it, really. You know what I mean? I seen like a blob, but I could not tell. Like I said, I had my phone in my hand, and I just camera took picture right there. Something was moving, and it was different. I knew it wasn't a deer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It looks bulky. Like whatever. I can't tell how tall it is, but it looks bulky for sure.
It doesn't look like it's real tall, does it?
Yeah, it's just hard to tell. It's hard to tell the height.
Now, another thing is, are you looking at that picture?
Yeah.
Look to the left and down between them trees. I think. See that black spot?
I see it, yep.
That black spot right there.
Yep. Yeah, it looks like something else maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, that could be pareidolia. That could, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's me trying to find something else. But
right.
That's just weird. You know what I mean?
Well, it has the same kind of coloration as whatever this other thing is.
It kind of stands out, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, and I don't know. Like you said, that thing looks bulky. Whatever that is.
Yeah.
I was like, dude in a ghillie suit, but it's not hunting season. But that don't mean there couldn't be somebody out there in a ghillie suit.
Sure.
Why would they?
Yeah.
Why would they be in houses? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't understand it, but.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Like, it's the kind of thing it's never going to convince anybody, and any skeptic of anything. But it's interesting because you were there, you heard it moving, and you took the picture. Like I said, I cannot tell the height, but it looks bulky. Whatever it is looks big and bulky. So
I didn't think it was tall. I was like, but I can't tell because I just can't tell.
Yeah,
I can't tell. I really can't. But it's just, it looks big, like you said, bulky, man. It looks like. Big up top, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Can I put this photo in the show notes when we?
Whatever you want, man.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I want to go to this place with a cemetery. I don't know. I don't know how much free time we're gonna have when we go back in the fall, because I think we're gonna be camping in that place where we were before and everything. But man, if I get some free time, I might, because I always want to see French Lick anyway, because of like I said, because of Fluorescent Freddie. So maybe I'll give you a shout when we're in the area. Yeah,
you're welcome to. Yeah. And then, like I said, my mom owns the property down in Martin County as well. There's nobody there either. Nobody's been there in years, like really, like living there.
Yeah.
And that's a different place too. So if you just holler at me, you're welcome. Whatever.
All right. Well, I'll stay in touch. Jeremy, thank you so much for sharing your stories, man. This is cool stuff. What can we say? I'm with you. I think it's something, but the skeptic's going to say whatever, but.
And that's fine. They can say whatever they want. I know what
Right.
I know, so it's all good. I'm trying to convince anybody. I just really wanted to tell,
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for sharing, man. Stay in touch. Let us know if anything else happens for you.
I definitely will. Thank you very much.
Strange Familiars is brought to you by our patrons, and I'd like to thank our patrons. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for your support. We could not and would not make the show without your help. If you like what we do and you'd like to get extra content besides, you can become a patron at Patreon. It's patreon.com/strangefamiliars. All of our patrons get full extra episodes of Strange Familiars every month. We do at least one exclusive episode for our patrons. Sometimes we do more. They also get commercial-free versions of the weekly shows. To check out all the options, go to patreon.com/strangefamiliars. We also have an option on Apple Podcasts. That program is called Patron of the Strange. If you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, you get the weekly shows commercial-free as well as the extra shows monthly. I am slowly adding the back patron episodes to Apple Podcasts. There seems to be a problem with the interface. The last episode, which came out Monday, I believe, for everybody, the episode from last week that we were late with, I couldn't get to upload on Apple Podcasts at all. It took me all night and a message to tech support, which Apple came back and said, there's nothing wrong. It's not on our end. But I don't know why it takes an hour to upload a podcast to Apple where everywhere else it takes 45 seconds.
That's proprietary findings.
Mm-hmm. So please bear with me, those of you on Apple. I'm doing my best. I think the commercial-free version of that episode is up now. I try to get it up before the regular episode comes out. I don't want people to get upset and think I didn't bother to do the commercial-free episode. If something's going on with the interface there, I'm working with Apple, and we're trying to figure it out. But in any case, thank you for your support, no matter where you support us. Just a note, patron costs are going to go up. I think probably $1. I keep mentioning that. It's going to happen, like I said, probably whenever I get this Hermit book finalized. I'll have some time to work on that. But on Patreon at least, I don't know how it works on Apple, but on Patreon at least, if you are locked in now at the $4 rate, as long as Patreon keeps letting us do it, you'll be grandfathered in and you'll stay at that rate as long as you stay subscribed. Like I said, there's people who came in at the $3 rate when we first started the show, and some of them are still getting the monthly shows for $3 a month. So it's a good deal. Lock in now, and when the price goes up, like I said, as long as Patreon continues to let us do that, you will just continue to pay that price even when the price goes up. Thanks again to all of our patrons everywhere. I mentioned to Jeremy about Fluorescent Freddie.
Where's he from?
French Lick, Indiana.
And I'm not allowed to comment on that name.
Jeremy is from French Lick, so
okay.
We're not, yes.
Okay, say you're a teenager and you live in French.
Okay, look, yeah, there's, right.
Okay.
And I know you are a teenager in your mind. But, yeah, so the thing about Fluorescent Freddie, certain cryptozoologists, and that is a bad term. If these are wild men, if we're dealing with wild men, if these are some kind of relic hominid, as they claim, then it's not an animal. Then we don't need cryptozoologists. We need cryptoanthropologists. And I think that might be half of the problem with the approach to this. Anthropology would take into consideration culture, religion, and more than just, let's type this animal and put it in a cage. And I think that's part of the problem with the approach. But anyway, some of these so-called cryptozoologists, one in particular I'm thinking of, which I won't name, wrote about Fluorescent Freddie. And this person said, oh, Fluorescent Freddie, they called him that because of his glowing eyes when he wrote about him, leaving out one extremely important detail about Fluorescent Freddie. He was green. Didn't want to say that because that made it seem too weird. You know, Bigfoot's known to have glowing eyes. But when he's green, then it's just, that's too much. So you leave that part out. That's what they do. They weird wash it. Leave the part out that's green. Just report on the part that makes him seem like a Bigfoot, like any other big hairy monster.
What era is Fluorescent Freddie?
So I made a mistake when I talked to Jeremy. I said it was in the 50s. I was wrong. It was in the 60s. So we're going to read some newspaper articles about Fluorescent Freddie, starting with the Indianapolis News from Indianapolis, Indiana, March 15th, 1965.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I think, like, the term fluorescent wasn't really widely, like, do people know about fluorescent? Well, I guess from black light posters and things were popular.
And fluorescent lighting and stuff, yeah.
All right. Red-eyed monster eludes searchers. Police chief... Okay, I'm not allowed to... Police chief Oral Carnes doesn't believe reports that a green monster is hiding out in a wooded area near here. But he went to the area recently to make sure nobody shot the creature. That seems counterproductive. It doesn't exist, but he wants to make sure no one shoots it. Local residents are calling the 10-foot-tall creature Fluorescent Freddie because it is described as having bright red glaring eyes. The shiny green thing supposedly lives in a wooded area 3 miles south of here near the city's municipal airport. The shiny green thing? And is shiny too?
I
like
mean,
fluorescent, right? Is that what
that's yeah, I mean that's what the
Since he contends Freddy is a figment of someone's youthful imagination or a prank, Karn said he went to the area only after hearing rumors that youngsters had armed themselves with shotguns and were going to shoot Freddy. Karn said he wanted to make sure that nobody got shot, Freddy or whoever. And when he showed up at the woods, the searchers were there, but none were armed. Karns has been to the area several times but has not seen the monster. He says he hasn't really been looking for it and adds, I have no intention of looking for anything around there. The monster was reported last week by Steve Dixon, 16, a Springs Valley High School junior, and since then, dozens of other persons, including adults, claim to have seen him. Mrs. Ward Conrad, who lives near the airport woods, said dozens of people in cars congregate there nightly, hoping to glimpse the creature, but she too believes Freddy is just a prank.
Next article is from the Herald, Jasper, Indiana, March 15th, 1965. There was a time not many years ago when Hoosiers occasionally read in their papers about strange phenomena in Pike County. The stories were fed to the papers by Ferd Veck, an elderly attorney who raised prize-winning flowers as a hobby when he wasn't writing up reports on huge red hands that appeared in the sky, or snakes so large that they left tracks like automobile tires. The scene now shifts to another of our neighboring counties, namely Orange, as the site of the thing type goings-on. As Red Buttons used to say, strange things are happening. According to the latest edition of the Springs Valley Herald, French Lick area residents are calling the hollow south of the new airport the Valley of the Jolly Green Giant, because, so rumor hath it, a monstrous green figure has been seen in the area on several occasions. Described as approximately 10 feet tall, a rather shapeless form of misty green. The creature is said to have red glowing eyes, which have earned him the name of Fluorescent Freddy, reports the Springs Valley Herald. It is the feeling of your reporter that a community that has learned to live with all those figures of a red devil that are the trademark of the famous bottler of mineral water shall be able to take in stride the presence in their midst of a 10-foot-tall, rather shapeless form of misty green with red glowing eyes. It's safe to say, though, that their relationship with the thing will remain on a purely plutonic level.
I have a bottle of that mineral water. Is it Pluto mineral water that has a devil underneath it?
I think you might be right.
I have a bottle of that.
Oh, wow.
That should have been the curiosity of the week.
We can switch. We can switch before we do it.
It's at one of my antique stands,
okay,
but
we can't switch.
It's Pluto water. It's mineral water,
wow.
and then the bottom there's an embossed sort of old timey devil on it.
Oh, wow. Usually it's little green men that are seen wandering aimlessly in the vicinity of the places where flying saucers have landed. So one must assume that if this character is from outer space, the people on the other mud balls have developed a fuel with a higher octane rating that enables them to send out their larger specimens. French Lick used to be world famous as a winter haven for circus animals. Was it?
I'll see whose winter quarters is in French Lick.
Circuses always send out advance agents to do the advertising, arrange for tent sites, and line up small boys to water the elephants. Maybe Fluorescent Freddy is an advance agent for the Great Destruction.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, right?
Advance agent for the Great Destruction. It's right next to an ad for the AMP in time for...
All right, so this next one is from the Indianapolis News, Indianapolis, Indiana, March 17th, 1965.
Okay. Monster fans wait to see. You can't knock it if you don't go see Freddy yourself, says the high school crowd to anyone who is unenthusiastic toward this city's favorite pastime, monster hunting. Freddy is Fluorescent Freddy, the 10-foot-tall green monster with red eyes, which has supposedly been spotted by 24 teenagers along a lonely stretch of road 3 miles south of French Lick. This writer arrived at the hollow, now dubbed the Valley of the Jolly Green Giant, shortly after dusk. Already the place was jammed with cars. As the darkness deepened, so did the throng. A few of the braver youths walked in 2s and 3s to the edge of the woods, coaxing Freddy to make an appearance. David Noble, 16, of French Lick, is supposed to be on speaking terms with the creature, although what he had was a one-sided conversation. David is supposed to have told Freddy, "We're your friends. Don't be afraid. We won't hurt you." And after 3 hours of waiting, the crowd began leaving. It was apparent Freddie wasn't going to appear, so it was possible to drive away from the valley of the Jolly Green Giant with a hearty ho-ho-hoax. That's a very of-the-time reference to the Jolly Green Giant.
So you may think like a green Bigfoot, that's crazy, right?
Oh, I know it isn't crazy because you collect green Bigfoots.
And you may think like they must be very rare, and indeed they are, but not 10 years later. Still in Indianapolis. Hunted beast may be a man. Monstrous thing at Columbus is green hairy, scares cats. Columbus, Indiana. A hairy green monster is roaming the west side of Columbus, scaring cats and women, and hiding in the woods near Millrace Park. Police and a dog catcher believe the monster is a man wearing green blankets and a green mask, enjoying a frolic in balmy Indian summer weather and the light of the harvest moon. But large groups of armed persons are roaming the park along the east fork of the White River's headwaters in search of the monster. Police are worried that one of the hunters will shoot another monster hunter, or the monster, and learn that the beast they have slain is a man. Dubbed the hairy green monster of Millrace Park, the beast has been spotted at least 4 times in the last 8 days. It left paw marks on the hood of a car about 10:30 p.m. November 1st and frightened 6 young women at the park before it disappeared into the woods near where the Driftwood and Flat Rock rivers meet to form the east fork of the White. Some believe the monster hides in a lagoon at the mouth of the Flat Rock. Others believe it has a lair in the dense woods by the park. Several persons got fleeting glimpses of the monster Tuesday night and again Thursday night. About 9 a.m. yesterday, the Columbus City dog catcher, Rick Duckworth, 20, and John Brown, 19, said they saw the monster. They had been dispatched to the park to rescue 2 scared cats high up in a tree. While studying ways to rescue the cats, Duckworth said that he and Brown saw the monster standing about 200 feet away. When Duckworth started towards the monster, the beast took off as fast as a deer and disappeared in the woods. With the monster gone, the 2 men obtained a ladder and lowered the 2 cats to the ground. As soon as they hit the ground, the 2 cats took off like bolts of lightning, with one disappearing in the distance and the other running into a sewer line, according to Duckworth. They were really scared, he added. Duckworth said that if he spots the monster again, he'll try to shoot him with a tranquilizer gun he carries to catch dogs. Duckworth said he believes the monster is a man wearing a green mask and green blankets. He said the monster is 6 feet tall, maybe even taller, and has a large frame and long reddish hair which hangs in his face. He said the monster left no footprints because the ground is heavily covered with leaves. Persons who have sighted the monster say it is not a figment of their imagination, in spite of the balmy Indian summer and bright harvest moon of the last few nights.
So he's green but also has red hair and it can move faster than a deer?
I mean, these are the things. These are the things with these things. This is from the Indianapolis Star, Indianapolis, Indiana, November 10th, 1974.
Elusive monster remains on the prowl. The elusive hairy green monster of Millrace Park escaped from a residential garage before patrolmen could arrive there. Police were dispatched to a house here late Friday after a woman reported hearing noises and said her son had seen the monster in their garage. She also reported the son locked the monster in the garage, but the beast, which police and others believe is a prankster attired in a green mask and green blankets, showed no signs of having been in the garage. Fearful the beast is a man and may be shot, police have closed Millrace Park at nights to hunters of the monster until this thing quiets down, one policeman said. Before the park was closed Friday night, as many as 100 cars carrying persons armed with guns, knives, and clubs were looking for the monster. 2 city dog catchers reported seeing the monster Friday at the park when they were sent there to rescue 2 scared cats from a tree. The monster also has been seen at the park at least 3 other times since November 1st.
The garage thing is interesting. The guy shot him in the garage, and then when the police come, not in there.
It was a kid, right? Kid put him in the garage? Is that what it was?
The mother said her son. It could have been an adult.
Oh, that's true. It
adult
could have been an adult son.
Yeah, but that's interesting. You can't catch this stuff. Never can you catch this stuff. By the way, this area is not terribly far from the Witch Diggers area.
It's not the same county, is it?
I don't think so, but It's not terribly far, this Millrace Park area. This is from the Indianapolis Star, July 6, 1975. It's a bird. It's a plane. Well, it's some gold darn thing. These are the dog days. The blazing sun scorches the earth, and at times, men's minds. Imaginations, perhaps fried just a bit by midsummer madness, conjure 500-pound snapping turtles in northern Indiana, chicken-eating kangaroos in Putnam County, and myriad other monsters which haunt the sultry doldrums. So far this summer, Hoosiers haven't seen or imagined anything to compare with Bigfoot of the West or the abominable snowman, at least not without liquid or pharmaceutical assistance. But a few times in years past, they've come close. During June 1960, an object was sighted in an old cistern in the Dan Craig farm near Lynn. The opening in the cistern was small, and the cistern was deep, which made lighting the area difficult. But through the half-light, Craig and a few others made out the form of a large mushroom-colored object which had a dome-shaped head, glaring bulbous eyes, and 8 flailing arms, which were equipped with lobster-like claws.
That's some Lovecraftian kind of stuff, isn't it?
Right? Craig's place drew a lot of visitors. One of them dropped a fish on a line into the cistern and then brought it up. The fish had been slashed to ribbons. But the man took it home and fed it to his cat, and the cat died. Craig pumped the cistern dry and said he saw the object crawl upon some old timbers, but whatever it was avoided capture. The logical ones said it was no monster at all, only a large salamander, but there were those willing to swear something with a head that large, the glaring eyes, and with the 8 flailing arms with grasping lobster-type claws could only have been a tax collector. During March 1949, Gail Harris of Churubusco began regaling the public with tales of a 500-pound snapping turtle he'd seen in his lake. He claimed to have caught the turtle once with a chicken wire net, but it slipped away. So big, so strong, and carnivorous was this turtle that it could snag cattle which came to the lake for a drink and drag them in. The record weight for a snapping turtle in Indiana was then 86 pounds, and naturalists claimed a 500-pound turtle was absurd. Harris, however, knew he had a whopper. He said he first saw it from the roof of his barn, and it looked like a submarine. It was as big as a dining room table. From early March until October 1950, when he sold the farm, Harris made continued efforts to trap old mossback with divers, huge cranes, boats, and hooks, and ingenious traps. During that time, his estimate of the turtle's weight dropped to 100 pounds, and his enthusiasm plummeted. He said he was tired of people coming in and trying to take over his lake, his farm, and his turtle. His wife was equally fed up, and before the crowd quit coming, they began selling them hot dogs and coffee. Efforts to raise old mossback ceased when the new owner took over. He didn't care for turtles. He didn't even care whether or not turtles existed. A few wise guys tried to run in a ringer turtle and claim it was old mossback, but no one took them seriously. In the movies, Gary Cooper always basked in success, but Park County is a long way from Hollywood, and from August through September 1972, Sheriff Gary Cooper, 7 of his deputies, and a couple of FBI men spent hours seeking a very unusual animal with no success. Coop got involved when something killed several dogs which had tracked it. The first sighting and reports came from neighboring Putnam County at Rochdale. There, Randy Rogers and his wife heard something pounding on the side of their home. Whatever it was soon left the county after ripping 60 chickens apart at the Rogers and eating a pail of cucumbers and tomatoes at Carter Burdine's farm. There were those who believed the culprit was a kangaroo. Would they kill chickens?
Are there kangaroos in Indiana?
Which escaped from a man in Pittsburgh, but that man said he'd never owned a kangaroo, much less lost one. There were a few who believed that what had been sighted and described as furry, running and walking on its hind legs and about 6 feet tall was a recently released mental patient wrapped in an old buffalo hide. The more things change, the more they stay the same. That sounds like 1800s explanation for those wild men. No one explained the variation in the beast's diet. Old Coop said it was a bear after he saw large tracks in the Wabash River bottoms. Several dogs were killed in the hunt. The Department of Natural Resources blandly claimed that there are no bears in Indiana. The monster grew in telling to the height of 10 feet, and its footprint measurements lengthened to 21 inches. A couple more dogs were reportedly slain by the monster, and a pig was disemboweled. It was about this time Cooper recalled a line from the old song, "Lord, if you can't help me, for goodness sake, don't help that bear," and gave up the chase. Craig Harris and Sheriff Cooper have plenty of company if they consider themselves failures. Fluorescent Freddie, alias the Jolly Green Giant, who stretched 10 feet in height and was spotted on a desolate stretch of road south of French Lick during March 1965, was never found. The hairy green monster of Millrace Park on the west side of Columbus scared citizens during November 1974 to the extent that they armed themselves with clubs, knives, and guns and began a vigilante search. Police feared a prankster might be shot, stabbed, or severely bruised if caught, and they closed the park. A team of dog catchers dispatched to the vicinity of the park to rescue a pair of treed cats saw the monster run as fast as a deer. They completed the rescue of the cats and vowed to use a tranquilizer gun if they saw the monster again, but it had vanished for good. So, not only are there green Bigfoot, or green monsters, whatever you want to call them, but there's 2 in Indiana within 10 years of each other.
Maybe it's the same guy.
Could be.
Just gotten a little older.
Could be. Could be. They're very unusual, and, I just like to point out that what these flesh and blood guys have been doing for years, because these reports of Fluorescent Freddy I read, the original reports, I think were from the 1970s or 1980s, where they eliminated the fact that it was green. They just said it was called Fluorescent Freddy because of his glowing eyes, because, they already know Bigfoot has glowing eyes. There's enough reports of that, but if you say he's green, well, that's too weird, right? That is Fluorescent Freddy, one of the green Bigfoots. I had forgotten about the other hairy green, the green monster of Mill Race. That is another cool one. Indiana, you're bringing the weird. You're challenging Pennsylvania. You're bringing the weird. So I love green Bigfoot. Anybody runs across any green Bigfoot stories, let me know. Of course, we had the Sasquatch Chronicles 2 Brothers episode. They reported a green one. And right here on Toad Road, we got a report of a green one as well. I found this week's curiosity, Allison. For once, not you. This is a ex-library copy, but I believe it is a first edition of John Keel's Operation Trojan Horse, an exhaustive study of unidentified flying objects, revealing their source and the forces that control them. So it has some condition issues, as you would expect a book this old that's an ex-library copy to have. But it looks like it's the first printing from 1970.
Does it have the part in the back where you stick in the card?
From the library?
Yeah, I want to see who took out the book.
It looks like it was cut out, so that's another issue. That last page was cut out, but it does have stamps in.
Oh, wait, there's something written. Here, wait. When you lifted that up, there's something written. Oh, no. Not too exciting. It just talks about the adjustable book cover. Secret information.
It's a readable copy?
Because it's John Keel, I'm going to randomly...
Just randomly pick something?
I'm going to randomly pick a page, and I'm going to pick a line.
You picked at the beginning of a chapter.
Oh, what? What is your time cycle? That's what it says. Seems rather personal, isn't it?
So, yeah, it still has the cover, such as it is. The, what do you call it? The outer cover. The
Dust jacket?
Dust jacket. I knew there was a word for it. Thank you. It's got some condition issues, but it is the first edition of Operation Trojan Horse, which I believe these fetch a pretty penny. Now, this is well loved and well read, but it's super cool.
Hey, I could just imagine all the different kids who would have gotten that out over and over and over again.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why I love to see books like that still have the cards in them with the same kid getting the same book out over and over and over again.
We are going to take a photo of this, and we'll put it in the show notes. And if you click on that, it'll take you to our Etsy shop where you can purchase this and other curiosities of the week, those that are left. While you're at Etsy, you can check out our other stuff. We got Strange Familiars t-shirts, stickers, patches, mugs. We got art, prints, and originals, including the artwork for this episode, assuming I finish it in time. I think I will.
Yeah.
My books are there. If you get them from us on Etsy, they come signed. Allison has various ephemera up there. You got some old photos, and you got some like Victorian scrap and stuff up there, don't you? Mm-hmm. And we're adding more all the time.
We have an eBay too. We never plug that.
We should. After I'm done Etsy.
Okay.
I'll make the paracord rosary with the antique crucifix sold right away. So I'll make more. I do have more of those antique crucifixes. So I will make more of the paracord rosaries with the antique crucifixes and more of the rosaries in general as soon as I get a moment to breathe. I had a busy week last week, and this week is turning out to be just as busy. We do also have an eBay store where Allison puts up many more photographs and other ephemera. What's hot on eBay right now?
For me, or just generally?
What do you have up on eBay?
Oh, I have a lot of tintypes I've listed. I have a few sideshow photos. I have Just some random stuff.
So check out our eBay shop as well. I believe there's a link to that in the show notes as well.
Yeah, and if you look up Strange Familiars, it should come up.
That's right. We changed the eBay shop name to Strange Familiars because we could change it on eBay. We couldn't change it on Etsy.
Yeah, even though the username is not.
Yeah.
The username is OmiWise.
Yeah, but
It's confusing,
but the store name is Strange Familiars.
You'll find us.
Yeah.
You'll find us.
Check it out. Yeah. Links to the show notes. Anybody who orders from Etsy or eBay, you're helping us out as well. You're helping the show out. So thank you so much for that. Josh was here last week. We went to the paranormal conference in Gettysburg. I think we talked about that. That's right.
We did because you were late with the show.
That's right. So I'm just going to cut that out.
But maybe people might have missed the show because it wasn't on the regular day. So go back and listen to that because I don't often do interviews.
Yes. Yeah. So what's your next interview going to be, Allison?
Well, Tim, I don't know.
Well, now you're hooked in. Now you have to do it. So
as long as you can edit it.
There are Allison fans out there who are clamoring for you to do more interviews.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure.
You got to get on that. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back soon with more Strange Familiars. Strange Familiars is a production of Dark Holler Arts. Intro and background music is by Stone Breath. If you want to hear more or purchase music, you can go to stonebreath.bandcamp.com. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/strangefamiliars. You will also find the Strange Familiars gathering group there. We're on Instagram @strangefamiliars, one word, no underscore. Give us a follow and a like or whatever that is over there, because I want to feel like an influencer. Make me feel like an influencer.
Dead-eyed and soulless.
For Strange Familiars merch, strangefamiliars.com/merch. There's pictures of what we have. You click on that, it'll send you right over to our Etsy shop, to those particular items. And strangefamiliars.com is where you can find us all the time.